Let's now go to Imtiaz Gul, who's the Executive Director of the Centre for Research and Security Studies. He joins us from Islamabad. Welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us. Can I start by asking you about the mood in Pakistan right now? What reaction has there been to the Taliban's advances in neighbouring Afghanistan?
Actually, the mood has been one of a sense of vindication, as a lot of Pakistani civilian and military leaders have been forecasting that once the United States exits, then it will, I think, leave the field open to the militia, to the Taliban, which has gone, from the south to the north, from the east to the west, capturing one province after the other. So this was very much on the cards. This is like the culmination of the domino effect that American President Joe Biden's July 8th speech has had on the Afghan dynamics once he declared that the American troops would be out of Afghanistan by August the 31st. I think that left very little at the hands, in the hands of President Ashraf Ghani, and offered a free field to the Taliban, because in that speech, President Biden also declared that there is no terrorism anymore, that the counterterrorism mission is over. So I think this very statement had a domino effect, and this was very much, 3 days ago, it became clear that in a couple of days, Taliban would be knocking on the doors of Kabul. But one thing is clear, that they, having learned from their past mistakes, this time around, they did not indulge in massive fighting. The strategy was very clear, choking the capital from north, south, west, and also requesting the governors and the armies in different provinces to surrender, to join them without offering fight. Because I think what had become very clear to everybody, every single Afghan is fatigued with war. They are desperate to get out of this perennial cycle of violence that has been going on for the past 4 decades. So I think this has come as a big relief also for Pakistan, I would say.
So do you believe that, do you get the sense that perhaps this is a new era for the Taliban? They've turned over a new leaf. Are they looking to legitimize their power by making it a peaceful transition in Afghanistan?
I think President Ghani's reticence, his inflexibility, left the Taliban with no choice but to embark on a mission that has now brought them almost to the doors at the center of Kabul, in fact. So this way, I think they probably will get the kind of legitimacy that almost every country had denied them through statements in which they had said that we will not accept any seizure of power by force. So even Pakistan itself had declared that any takeover of Kabul by force would be unacceptable. And in fact, this would be the second legitimization of the Taliban. The first came with the February 2020 peace deal with the United States. That was a major legitimacy that the Taliban got. And this is what annoyed a lot of anti-Taliban forces, both inside Kabul as well as elsewhere. But I think most of them basically failed to see that a militia that had hung on, that had basically put the entire NATO alliance on the defensive in Afghanistan, is a legitimate stakeholder, and that it deserves the kind of attention and respect that the people in Kabul, in India, and elsewhere denied them. So I think it's the history has moved full circle. They were removed 20 years ago by force, and now they are entering Kabul in a relatively largely peaceful way.
It's been interesting to watch Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan's reaction to what's happening over in Afghanistan. He hasn't condemned pro-Taliban rallies within his own country. He also hasn't condemned the Taliban's advances in neighbouring Afghanistan. Why is that?
Why should he condemn Taliban advances in Afghanistan, while the same Taliban were being engaged by the United States, by Russia, by China in Doha until last night? So this is what the Prime Minister had been advising against, and even many of his predecessors, that the military solution is no solution. Force is no solution to this conflict, and they have to sit together. Now, it's the only problem that arose was the inflexibility of President Ghani. He basically kept his own survival, his own interests above everything else. And this is what he had to see. Probably he should already be out of Kabul or maybe about to leave Kabul. We hear that former President Hamid Karzai and Dr. Abdullah, the head of the peace mission, have guaranteed his safe exit from Afghanistan. So this was something that everybody in Pakistan had been advising, because Pakistan feels the heat of everything that happens in Afghanistan, and that's why, and we in Pakistan have also seen the fire through radical and proxy terrorism that we fought off, I think to a great extent, very successfully, but we were still feeling the heat, and we will keep feeling the heat of this situation for, I think, many years to come. That's why no Pakistani had ever believed in a military solution in Afghanistan.
Yes, can I ask you more about the impact on Afghanistan? If the whole of Afghanistan does fall to the Taliban, what impact will that have on Pakistan? Will it be a largely positive or negative impact there?
Well, I would say that it probably would have a positive impact on Pakistan, because for the past at least 15 years, Pakistan faced a country next door which was being ruled by people who were probably not very sincere to their country. They were playing as the second fiddle to somebody else. They were parroting narratives that may have suited their geopolitical interests, but they did not, certainly not, suit the interests of the people of Afghanistan. And I think that also created space for a number of proxy terrorist groups inside Afghanistan, which had been operating across the border and delivering cuts to Pakistan. Almost every day, Pakistan has been losing soldiers particularly in the border communities. So I think Pakistan probably would also sigh relief if there is a consensus, broad-based government, including the Taliban or led by Taliban, which probably will also gradually close the spaces, the ungoverned spaces that the proxy terrorists had been using against Pakistan.
Okay, Imtiaz Gul, Executive Director of the Centre for Research and Security Studies. We'll have to leave it there.